up until about 6 months ago, it was incredibly stressful. And we didn't even have 20 at that point. I think at the point at which I made a shift in my thinking around this, I had 13. I know that because I was at an incredible retreat run by my coach, Amy, at Craft Coaching and Development. And she did this activity with us where we had to write down, what are you holding? What are you holding on to? What are you carrying? Why are you carrying it? Like, it was all these very subtle variations on these questions. And I realized, amongst other things, amongst mental load, amongst, trying to be the perfect mum, all of that stuff. But one of the things I was really holding on to and was feeling a weight from was 13 people's lives and livelihoods.
Yep.
And she then invited us to this exercise where we wrote down whatever we wanted to let go of on a Post-it, and we ceremoniously burnt it.
This should happen in business a lot more.
I just did this exact exercise with our team last week at the retreat, and
Awesome.
a few of us burned things, and I actually decided I think I actually need to do it monthly.
Yeah.
As just ask myself, like, what am I holding? What am I holding on to? What's holding me back? What am I carrying? What's this weight I can feel? And
Yeah.
journal it down, and then write a few of those big things on Post-it notes and just burn them. Because it was a really instrumental moment in my life where I decided to let that go. And instead I shifted. I'm never going to not care. I really love
Of
people.
course. Yeah.
But there is a distinction between caring and carrying. And so now it's this mantra that goes through my head. It's like, well, I'm going to care, but I'm not going to carry the weight of that, because I know that I am always doing absolutely everything I can to ensure that I can continue to employ these people. But if stuff happens that's outside of my control, and I do everything I can to try and still control it, and it still doesn't work out, like, that's going to be hard for me and sad for me to let someone go.
Yeah.
But I can't just hold on to the weight of that all the time. It's too detrimental.
It really is. And I love that you've said it, because I reflect on my own team experience, and you're so right. Like, I'm just having like a moment of clarity, like, because I've often said on this podcast, because we at the peak of Scrunch, we had like 20 odd people, and I just felt like I was working to keep people employed. Like, it felt really, really heavy. And then obviously COVID happened, all the things, and we're fully remote now as well, and a smaller team. But I've always said that, like, and we have a lot more freelancers and like people in a lot, I guess, less full-time employees now. And I've specifically done that because I really struggled with the weight of heaps of full-time employees. But really interesting then, the connection with being the CEO. Like, it's your job to care but not to carry, right? Like, as I just reflect on everything you've said, you are so right. Like, you will do everything in your power to make sure the business is the most successful that it can be.
Always.
But it is not your job to walk around with 20 people standing on your shoulder.
No, because I can't, like, we just, be completely honest about it. We just lost a really big client. They're in the tech space. There's lots of redundancies happening. Like, of course, we were on the chopping block, and it's a big chunk of budget. And I think if I were a potentially maybe a more seasoned business professional, or I was of, one of the other genders, that, maybe is a bit more kind of hard hitting about this stuff, I would probably be letting people go right now. But I'm not going to, because I want to give myself a month to see if I can sort it out.
And
Also,
you probably will, because you've set yourself that goal. Instead of reacting to a situation, you've gone, how do I solve this situation?
I reacted. I drank a lot of wine.
Well, obviously that is step number one.
Yes, step number one. And then
Yeah.
I took a breath, and I took a few days, and I worked with my amazing senior team, and we've, come up with some good solutions and good ideas. And we've got plenty of opportunities in the pipeline, one of my jobs now as a CEO is to ensure business resilience.
Mm.
And what I'm hoping I can do is to ensure that we're resilient enough that we can just make it through this patch until all those opportunities kind of come to fruition. So we'll see. Stay tuned.
I love it. I love it. I think it is an honest and practical approach to business. And, I think it's important to have these conversations because, well, on a few levels, but obviously we are seeing all of the redundancies play out on LinkedIn, right? And I think there's a different lens that happens as a business owner seeing that. And you look at it and you go, I know exactly why they had to do that, because that's business. When you lose money, you can't afford to keep paying people money. But I also feel like there's, looking at it from an employee's point of view, there's sometimes not quite an understanding of why things happen. So that's why I think it is really important to have these open, honest discussions about, what do you do? How can you, do you react? Do you put a plan in place? Like, I love that you used the words business resiliency, because yes, as CEO or founder or whatever we're calling ourselves on this podcast, that is your job.
Yeah. And it's what's been such a, can I swear?
Oh, please.
Okay. Such a
We're
head fuck.
drinking.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Such a head fuck for me is that I, 2 and a bit years ago, I was a freelance copywriter, and
Yeah.
I was in a senior marketing management role at my last corporate job, but I had like one direct report. I've never been a leader at this scale. So I've had to learn
Mm.
how to do that. And I've made so many mistakes, but I've learnt from them all. And I'm just, endlessly curious anyway. So I'm always like, oh, okay, that situation didn't go well. Wait, okay, let's do a little dissection and figure out what happened there. And learn from it and try and not repeat that mistake. But I don't know what I'm doing. I just used to write the copy and now I'm like, doing all this stuff. And every time I say that to my team, they're like, can you stop? You do know what you're doing. Like,
Yeah.
stop talking yourself down and all the rest. But yeah.